And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in. And as you come in, let me know where you're coming from. Come on in. Come on in. Where you're coming from, drop it in the chat. Let me know where you're coming from. As a matter of fact, let me know how many weeks you've been with us. Have you been with us for all 72 weeks? Let's see what we got here. We got Melissa Jones Tuna is in the building. Bob Moat is in the building. Janine Wilkins is in the building. Principal Tammy T just finished watching you is in the building. The teacher and me is in the building. Come on in, folks. Come on in. Let me know. Let us know where you're coming from. Ooh, these names are flying. Oh, my God. I can't even keep up. Josh Tovar is in the building. Where we at here? Faithful Howard. Dot McKeever Jeter is in the building. Where we at? This thing started flying, y'all. Raquel Squall's in the building. Nancy Rowe. Kimberly Broughton Kafele, my bride, is in the building. Geneva Rodriguez, Char Mills, D. Kerbell 1, Claude C. Michael Benton, my man out there in Cincinnati's in the building. Jenny Hernandez, Lorianne Beasley, Demetrius Scott, my man down there in Moody, Alabama. He said all 72. Alicia Jeffers. Where we at? Let me scroll the other way now. John Hirix, Sultana Nasreen, I think that is. Felicia Graham, Superintendent Finch. Is that, yeah, this is a new one, Superintendent Finch. I got this one. I got it last spring, but I wore my lighter ones over the summer. But yeah, this is a new one. The Nashville Stars. Dr. Roz Gaskins in the building. TB Summer. Marsha Poe. Oh man, I can't even make that one out. The hero in the DIA is in the building. I know I butchered that one. I should know better, right? Let's keep it coming. Keep it coming. As you come in, hit that share button. Somebody let them know it's that time that we get down on Saturday mornings at 10:55 Eastern time. Principal Sean Hertz in the building. Just finished listening to him. Vanessa Olive is in the building. Carla Hayes is in the building. Tanya Corbett has checked in. John Decker is in the building. Felicia Graham, Will Turner, where we at here? Dr. T. Williams is in the building. Jennifer Griffin's in the building. Who else we got here? Principal Otis Kitchen the second is in the building. Barry-Ann Collins is in the building. I'm glad to see Barry-Ann. I know Barry-Ann, she's one of our friends down there in Louisiana and New Orleans, and I know she's been struggling. Students struggling, she's been struggling, but I'm glad to see you, Barry-Ann. I hope everything is moving along. We have my man, Keen Walker, and I know it's pronounced differently, man. You got to give me the phonetics on that, man, so I could say that right. Because I know you. I think you said Keena, right? Give me the phonetics on that, man. I'm glad to see you this morning. Right, you guys got to check out his podcast too. I think it's pronounced Keena Walker, and you can just go to his Facebook page and see what he's doing. Atlanta school classroom teacher. Where we got here? We got Sheena Stanley Dixon's in the building. Trinity Price is in the building. Dr. Marcus Jackson is in the building. Ebony Davis Stevenson's in the building. Jennifer Desmond, Heather Riganti, Dr. Sheikah Houston, just finished listening to her. It's always good to see my former student, Letitia Anderson Datus, back in 6th grade, back in 92, 93. We got Lysandra Brackens, Oakley Daryl Oakley, Bonnie Wilborn, Shonda Williams, Rue Sharp, and I see it's 11 o'clock. I'm getting ready to close this out. In Austin 9, make sure you guys hit that share button as you come in. Hit that retweet button as you come in. I know, Doc, I was thinking about doing that. One of my guys, you guys saw Principal L on here a few weeks ago, and he's actually going to do something like that. I don't know what his start date is, but ask me anything type of thing. He's going to do that. So keep checking in with him to see when he's going to get it started. Look here, folks, it's 11:01 and I got a lot on the plate here. In fact, I have a very ambitious agenda, but let me say to you guys formally, good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 72. Can you believe it? Week 72 of the virtual AP Leadership Academy. And I don't know about you, but I think I know because you checked in this morning. I mean, there's a million things you could have done, but you decided to come here. So, but if I could just let you know how I'm feeling real quick, I'm on fire. I just had to let you know that, man. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on today. We're going to talk about that. There's a lot going on in the world. It's just a lot going on. But as I say, every week, you chose leadership. You chose this. So because you made that decision to lead, and thereby folks relying on your leadership, there's a certain energy that you must bring every day, whether it be in person, hybrid, virtual, whatever it is. The youngsters, the staff, the parents, the community still need your fire. Woo! They need that. I think I need that every Saturday. Only time I really say that like that is on Saturday mornings. That's like a release for me, right? So I need to do it. Maybe there's somebody out there that you need to hear me say it. But let me move to my quick motivational message, and then we're going to get down here. My message is a little different. It's called Read the Room. Once again, read the room. That's my motivational message to get us started. My motivational message of the week is what I'm calling it now, to get us started. What am I saying? I read a lot of Facebook posts, Twitter posts or tweets regarding just coming from teachers, their comments on various different things, administrators, etc., on a variety of different things. And one of the things that I see is questions being raised as to when do I start instruction, or because a lot of schools are just opening, and then we got the final wave coming this week, and then everybody will be open. So a lot of questions about when do we transition to really hardcore instruction? Do I start it on the first day? Do I start it in the first week? And my answer is my message to you this morning: read the room. Read the room. The room will tell you if you read it. It's just like you pick up a book and you read it and it's got information. Well, read the room. And as you read the room, as you look at the young people, as you look into their eyes, what are you receiving? You got young people who haven't been in school in a long time, in the formal sense, haven't been in brick and mortar, haven't been in the building. So does the room say it's time to dive deep into mathematics? I mean, I know the urgency and I understand the need to catch up. I understand that. But what does the room say when you read it? You got to read the room. The room might be saying, man, I got young people who have dealt with just a variety of different challenges over the past 2 years. This may not be the time for me to dive deep into the science lesson. This may not be the time for me to dive deep into the history lesson, the math lesson, the reading lesson, the whatever lesson it may be. This may be a time that I may need to pivot. I may need to shift gears, and I may need to put on my social emotional learning hat, and I may need to deal with that. Right? I may need to deal with the emotions of young people. I may need to deal with just the reality of being a youngster in 2021 going into 2022, as opposed to the instruction. But I'm saying to us, we have to read the room. Some of us are dealing with storms. We still have the victims of Hurricane Ida who are out there, including on this thread. Right. So therefore, if the administrators and the teachers have gone through it, certainly the parents and the students have as well. So again, reading the room. What does the room say? A speaker, the language that we use, we say audience analysis. So we analyze the audience before we deliver the content. Yeah, we can come into the room. Oh, man, we know our content. We know our stuff. We're fully prepared. We have prepped for it. But then you walk into the auditorium and you read the room And what the data that you get from reading the room tells you that you may have to make a shift. You may have to pivot. And maybe that information that you are so thoroughly prepared for is not necessarily relevant in the first 30 minutes of your presentation, right? So you've always got to read the room. You've got to determine, where are my students right now, right? As leaders, where is my school right now? Where is my staff right now? Do they need me to deliver this message right now? Do I need to be this overpowering right now? You know, is the culture what it needs to be right now? You know, all these things to consider as we read the room to determine who we are in real time with young people and with staff, since primarily I'm talking to a leadership audience. So let me say it one more time. You must read the room. You must analyze the audience. You can't just jump in there because you prepared yourself and now let me dive in deep, because you got to read what that room is spelling out to you, right? That's my quick message. Let me go through my announcements very quickly. I'm gonna ask you guys ahead of time, hit the share button, but I'm gonna ask you guys, stay on with me today. I know I'm gonna go over my hour. I was a little overzealous in putting this together. Some of last week, and then what I added this week, and that was the part. So just hang with me. 9/11. That's today, 20 years later, and I just want to talk about that for a hot second. Some of you were in schools working during that day, 9/11. Others of you were maybe preparing to be in schools working one day, but I was in it. I was in the thick of it. I was in the throes of it. It was September 11, 2001, and it was beginning of the school year, and we had a walkthrough scheduled. It was going to be the special ed department and my team, and just do a walkthrough of our compliance and what we're doing, that type of thing, as it related to our special needs students. And the entire building, we had televisions in the room. So we had televisions in the classrooms, and I had a television in my office. It's just back in them days, computers were like coming, but televisions, that was the thing for those that had it in their budgets. So they broke into, we kept it on news channels. So they broke into the news and said, one of the towers had been hit. So, we didn't know what to think. We didn't know what to think. But then that second one was hit, and we pretty much knew what was going on. And all of a sudden, I was listening to Dr. Sheikah Houston and Principal Tammy Taylor a few minutes ago on their broadcast. And Sheikah Houston was talking about how there was no manual, for the pandemic. You just gotta go. Right. But someone has written a resource she talked about. We'll get into that next week when they're my guests from Harvard. But I was thinking about when I listened to them, I was thinking about the 9/11 and our experience. And now all of a sudden my school was filled with panic. And I was still a young principal, right? I had a couple of years under my belt, but I was still a young principal. So now all of a sudden I had to go into a mode that I did not know, that none of us knew. But me, in terms of leadership, I had to go into a leadership mode that I did not know, right? So the parents, the phone is ringing off the hook, right? And for those of you that don't know, I'm in Jersey. At the time, East Orange, New Jersey, which is, we're not far from New York City. It's not like a stone's throw, but we're not far from there. It's just a quick ride through the tunnel and you're there. So parents are calling, they're panicking. Even though we're not in New York City, they're panicking. They're showing up at the school. They want to immediately take their students out of school, their children out of school, I should say. And then I got my staff has questions, so various different questions. What are we going to do? That type of thing. Wonder what's going to happen. Just that feeling of uncertainty. So I have to lead that. And I'm saying that to say, that's not I don't solely think of 9/11 on 9/11. I think of 9/11 every time it's time for that plane to hit that runway, right? It's seared into my psyche now. Like, am I on one of those planes? It's just something that happens. I'm not like paranoid or anything, but it changed my reality. It changed probably all of our reality. But I'm saying all of this to say I'm reflecting on 9/11. Thoughts and prayers continue to the families of the victims of 9/11. And just, in the context of our broadcast, you guys just knowing that everything that you're going to, every situation under which you're going to lead is not in a textbook, right? It's not in a seminar. It's not in an interaction with a colleague. Some things arise that that humans have never experienced, but you chose leadership. So even that, you've got to be able to think on your feet, and you got to make it happen, right? You got to make it happen. You can't cave in because you've never experienced it before. You got to think on your feet and be prepared. So part of leadership is anticipating the unanticipated, right? Let me say that again. A part of leadership is anticipating the unanticipated. You don't know what's coming, so you got to be ready for whatever it is, right? So enough there. Let's move on. Again, continued thoughts, continued prayers to all the victims of Hurricane Ida. I spent last night like a few hours like cleaning out my basement, right? And I'm still not even halfway there. Like all this stuff that was probably going to stay there forever, it went out on the garbage last night, because we were part of that storm. You don't think about that up here in Jersey, but here we were. So all these things I had to just throw out. So, things that probably were of value to some of us, but, here it is. So continued thoughts, continued prayers to all of the victims out there of Hurricane Ida. Moving on, welcome to all the first timers. I'm inviting people here on this platform every week when I'm out and about, traveling, speaking, all that kind of thing. And welcome to all the first timers. You'll see that I got a different level of energy than you may be accustomed to when you see me live, because I'm there for the client. But see, there is no client here. This is my platform. So so I bring a certain different kind of energy, different attire, that type of thing. And so that's where we are. Welcome to all the first timers. The books, got to keep promoting this, because this book I deem the most important book I've ever written. The Equity and Social Justice Education 50 Critical Questions for Improving Outcomes and Opportunities for Black Students. So get your hands on this book. The content is applicable for anybody, but I put a particular focus on Black students. If you didn't see Sean Hurt this morning, Principal Sean Hurt, if you didn't see him this morning, go back and watch the video. It's a half hour long. He put up state data for the state of Michigan. And he said he lost. It wasn't his school. It was a state data broken down by race. It came from the newspaper out there. And he said he lost sleep all week. And I believe him. He said he lost sleep because you look at it, said it had white students, Hispanic students, Black students, and Asian students. And Black students, it's like the other groups are here, and then Black students, it just dips, like it dips. And for grades 3 through 5, I made note of in the comments, 3rd grade was already low, but it kept decreasing to 5th grade. And then 6th grade had a little jump. So I'm saying here, that's why I wrote this, right? So if you don't have it yet, get your hands on it and use it as a reference, as a resource, not just a book to read and then put it on the shelf. And then also, just real quick, these are the 2 books that accompanied our academy: The Assistant Principal 50, wrong book, The Assistant Principal 50, The Aspiring Principal 50. You can get all 3 of these books on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, principalkafele.com. You see the web address on the ticker on the bottom, right? Make sure that that you tune in to Sean Hurt on Saturday mornings at 10. Create and Educate, led by Dr. Sheikah Houston and Tammy Taylor, at 10:30 on Saturdays, right before me. And then Unlock the Middle with my man Josh Tovar and the middle school crew on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock. That's we doing this thing as a collaborative, so just make sure you check them out. And then the last thing, man, to the folks going back for the first day this week coming, much success to you. Knock it out the park. Knock it out the park, right? Which makes me think about this here, right? From Jefferson County, gave me my own bat with my name on it. Knock it out the park, as the purpose of this broadcast is for us to be able to go back to our respective schools and knock it out the park, right? That's what I come on here for. That's what I spent a week preparing these notes for, and doing all this good stuff. So I'm ready. Let's get into it. Our topic today: 20 leadership truths, or as some people would pronounce that word, truths, to live by. 20 leadership truths to live by. I sat here all week long. Well, if no, I was home this week. Everything was virtual this week. So I sat home, and as the times I worked on my agenda for today, I just said, I think I'm always thinking about the new leader, the assistant principal that wants to become principal. Those are the people that are really on my mind. I think about principals, but I'm always thinking about that aspiring leader. I'm always thinking about that current assistant principal. I'm always thinking about that new principal that's trying to figure it out. And I said, what are some things that I could say to them on Saturday morning that they could kind of infuse within themselves? What are 10 points? And I said, what are 15 points? And I said, what are 20? And I said, what are 25? I said, no, that's too many. Maybe that'll spill into next week. So I capped it at 20. What are 20 things that I could say to a leader, to an aspiring leader, to an assistant principal, to a new principal, to a superintendent that needs to talk to the leadership, right? Or to an assistant superintendent that's ongoing and conversing with the leadership. So really relevant for anybody. And these were the ones, as I brainstormed a very lengthy list, these are what I really came up with. And I'm going to put these on the screen. Number one, I said, with all that has been said about the challenges of today, your overall attitude toward yourself, your overall attitude toward your work, your overall attitude toward your students, and your overall attitude toward and your staff really matters now more than ever, right? Your attitude toward you, the leader, your attitude toward your students, your attitude toward your staff, your attitude toward your parents, and even the broader community, your attitude toward everything I just mentioned, it probably matters now more than it ever has. Listen here, hit that share button, hit that retweet button. I'm finished with these announcements. I need you guys to be locked in. We're talking about your attitude, and let me tell you why I started with that one. Again, I read a lot on social media in these educator forums. I read a lot. And I'm reading stuff this week. What I'm not going to mention the page, but people looking for validation on their decisions to return back to the classroom, right? So hey, everybody out there, I want to return back. What are your thoughts, right? And I understand why someone would want to return back, and I understand why they would want to make it public and ask everybody's opinions and all that kind of stuff. I get it. But let me say this. More than likely, a lot of folks, the folks that want to go back, or the folks that want to find something else to do, or the folks that are questioning the decision they made to become leaders, it's probably because the work is particularly challenging right now. I get it. The work is probably particularly overwhelming right now. I get that. But that's why your attitude is so critical, because as the challenges become greater, as the challenges increase, as they intensify, your attitude has to become greater. Your attitude has to increase. Your attitude has to intensify toward your leadership. So as the going gets tough, hey, then we look within ourselves. What is it about me that I can get tougher simultaneously relative to my leadership? What is it about my attitude that I can connect even further, harder with my students, right? Not abandon them. And I don't want, and again, I'm not criticizing or condemning people that make those decisions. But I'm saying during those times, if you're really good at what you do, this is not the time to start thinking about that transition, because those young people need you now more than they ever needed you. Not for you to abandon, not for you to jump ship, not for you to leave and go do something else, because just as it's tougher for you, it is tougher for them. They too, and let me get my comments back up here, they too are struggling. This is a difficult time for everybody. So if you feel, matter of fact, hit that share button, hit that retweet button, hit up them Facebook groups that you belong to, because there's somebody out there that needs to hear this, who is contemplating, I think I may want to transition back to the classroom. I think I may want to transition back to counseling. I think I want to go, maybe leave the education altogether. I want to do what Principal Kafele does. I want to be a consultant. But you got to remember, my why and your why might not be the same why. See, so you might not just want to do what I do, but you got to check you. And I keep saying every week, sometimes you got to find that quiet space. See, sometimes we around too many people. We engage in too many conversations, listening to too much music, listening to too much podcasts, right? Sometimes we got to disconnect, right? We got to detach. We got to find that quiet space. And now, what is it about me? I got my eyes closed. Like I want y'all to, because I want to really convey this message. Like, here's you alone. What is it about me that my attitude is not what it used to be? Why am I waning? Why am I deviating from my initial purpose? See, you got to find that space and you got to engage in that. What is it about me? And you got to find it, because sometimes we get so caught up into the emotion of the challenge, of the obstacles, of the pressure, of the demand, that we don't have the internal conversation. But what is it about me that I'm succumbing to that instead of rising to the occasion? See, sometimes we got to rise. We got to rise up and meet whatever the challenge is, where it's at. But Verlander said, hey, good to see you, Verlander. Verlander said, stay focused. And that's what you got to do. It's just that we got a different focus right now. We got a new focus right now. My world has shifted. I talk into computers all the time. I don't know anything about that. That's new. None of us do. But I had to figure out a way to make this work. So make sure that you are always connected to yourself, again, with all that has been said about the challenges of today. Your overall attitude toward yourself, your work, your students, and your staff matters now more than ever. Your attitude. Let's keep it moving, y'all. I got a lot going on here today. So let's keep it moving here. Number 2. Oh, by the way, I'm so hyped right now. I never got to the question, right? That was just the statement. So now here's the question. So I'm putting the statement on the screen, and then the question, you got to listen, right? So that's going to be my sequence for the whole morning. So with that statement I just made, here's the question that accompanies it. How badly, and it's always self-reflective, right? Self-reflective. How badly do I want to be great at what I do? Man, somebody hit that share button. Someone hit that retweet. How badly do I want to be great at what I do? I had done this podcast for ASCD. If you didn't see it, you can go to their website. I did it last week it was an equity podcast. And someone wrote me, they might be on the screen because they told me they watch every Saturday. They said, Principal Kafele, your passion is unmatched. I said, what a great compliment, man. I'm just passionate about this work, man. Ain't nothing rehearsed here. It's just, I'm just passionate. No acting, just passionate. How badly do I want to see how badly do I, I'm reading 2 sentences at the same time. How badly do I want to be great at what I do? But I got a part B to that question. What is my evidence? See, what is my evidence? So it's one thing to say, man, I want it badly, Principal Kafele. I want it badly. Okay, cool. But what's the evidence that you want it badly? See, that matters too. What's the evidence that you want it badly? That's when you find that quiet space. And it's just you. Like maybe you got your pen with you. Maybe you got your paper with you. I don't even want to say your phone, right? Disconnect that thing, right? I don't even want to say your tablet, right? Where's mine? Disconnect that thing, right? Go old school and jot down. You could type it in later on. Go old school and get deep into your soul. Get deep into you, right? Let's go to that number 2. Man, it's like, 11:25, and I got 18 more, 19 more of these to go. Okay, pray for me. The success of your students and staff under your leadership has got to be personal. Whew. We're going to let that one marinate for a second. I'm saying the success of your students and staff under your leadership has got to be personal, beyond professional. What am I saying? See, I respect anybody where, look, this is what I do for a living, but I got a life outside of this. I respect that, man. I would never argue with that. Never, ever. But you know something? There's some of us that got into this business, perhaps all of you, because it was beyond professional. There's some of us on this call that got into this business because it is personal. I didn't get into education because of anything professional. I mean, I want you to hear me. I'm not in this business for professional reasons. I didn't even go to school to become an educator. I went to school after becoming. I got into this field because this was personal. Let's be specific. I'm a Black man. I grew up in the Black community. I was raised by a Black mother. And I saw, just observing the world, there's so many mothers who were struggling raising Black boys by themselves. I saw it. I saw it. I said, I want to position myself. Let me get into these classrooms. Let me position myself to fill that void of these young men who are coming to school that do not have a man in their lives. Let me fill that void. I see you, Ron Estrick, out there. Glad to see you. The first time I've seen your name on this call. Good to see you. That's one of my principal colleagues. Matter of fact, I think it's happy birthday to your missus as well, right? So now I'm saying that was personal. That wasn't like I want to go to school and undergrad school and study, go through the pre-service program and do my student teaching and come out to be a teacher. No, this is me saying, man, I got to make an impact on society. Y'all don't hear me, man. You don't hear me. I got to make an impact on society. This is personal. But I have a professional platform, meaning a classroom, to bring it into fruition. But it was personal. And because it was personal, it allowed me to take it to another level. See, like listen to the newbies on here right now, right? And you heard me speak somewhere this week or last week. You know I didn't sound like this. I don't get this passionate when I'm doing my professional work when they paying me them dollars. I don't do that because I'm working for the client. So I don't know if the client wants this energy. So I got to suppress me. I want you to hear me. I got to suppress me. But on Saturday morning, I ain't got to suppress me. I can be me. Do you hear the difference? I can be me with no consequences. Now, of course, somebody could watch and say, I'm scared to bring that guy into our conference because if he coming with that kind of thunder, man, that's a bit much for our audience. No, I'm not bringing that to your audience except for a keynote, right? I'm not bringing that to your audience. But I'm saying being on week 72 consecutively, even when I'm on the road, I'm in a hotel doing this broadcast, week 72 of something that was supposed to be 18 weeks, this thing is personal. Do you hear me? So I don't know most of the people on the call, but I don't need to know you as long as I can give you something to take your game to another level. So I'm asking you, it says the success of your students and your staff under your leadership has got to be personal. I'm asking you the question, is it personal? And see, let's go further. Let me throw the question at you. What is the evidence that my success as a school leader is, in fact, personal? Now, those of you out there, Kafele, I'm not with that number 2 because it's not personal for me. This is just my job. And then at the end of my job, I go home to my life. Okay, fine. Then block out for a second. But for the rest of us, Man, whatever my success in this business, it is hinged on the fact that my effectiveness was personal. It was not just professional. Keep that in mind. Let me keep moving, y'all. I got to get all 20 of these in. I'm not doing a part 2 next week because I got guests next week. Number 3, you must be able to walk into your school each day knowing that the success or failure, matter of fact, I ain't put it up there for you. Let me do that again. You must be able to walk into your school each day knowing that the success or failure of your school hinges on your leadership effectiveness. Woo! See, I told you I'm talking to the young heads today, but those of you who are veterans, hey, I'm not irrelevant. I just got the young heads in mind, but I'm not irrelevant to those of you who are veterans out there, or even those of you who are not principals, but you're in other capacities. You must be able to walk into your school each day knowing that the success or failure of your school hinges on your leadership effectiveness. Now, let me tell you what I did not say. Here's what I did not say. I did not say it hinges on you. Notice the difference. I did not say it hinges on you. I said it hinges on your leadership. I didn't say it hinges on the leader. I said it hinges on your leadership effectiveness. Man, see, because as I'm going to get to one of the other questions, you could be outside of the building. You could be at a conference somewhere. You could be homesick, right? You could be at a meeting with the superintendent, whatever it is. But the measure of your leadership is still present. So the question to go with that is, my leadership the number one determinant of the success or failure of my school? I was watching something the other day, and the principal was saying, "Man, I'm not. It's not about me, right? And it's not. But the principal, it's not about me. I'm just one with my staff, right? And I hear that. I hear that all the time. But here's the thing: you're able to be one with your staff because of your leadership. Don't ever, ever, ever discount the significance of your leadership. Notice I'm not saying leader. I'm saying leadership. You can never, ever discount the significance of the leadership. That matters, right? That matters. We don't have to get stuck on the leader, but the leadership is the game changer. Right. So the question, I guess I read the question, is my leadership the number one determinant of the success or failure of my school? Right. So let's keep moving, because I want to get all 20 of these in before you guys run out on me. Right. So number 4, all these notes here. You've got to know and believe that you are the absolute right person for the job, and in capital letters, no one else can come into your school and lead it any better than you can. That's a heavy duty statement right there. Let me read it again, because somebody might have missed that. Matter of fact, you might want to send that directly to somebody that's not on here. Hit that share button, hit that retweet button, hit that group, those Facebook groups. Go right into them groups. Let them know I'm on here, man. I got something to say this morning. You've got to know and believe that you are the absolute right person, your leadership, for the job, and that no one else can come into your school and lead it any better than you can. Let me give you this football analogy. You know, you always run risk when you do this, because people got their own teams. I'm a Giants fan, but I'm not going to use a Giants example. I watched the Patriots. I watched the Buccaneers the other day. You know, Tom Brady, you think Patriots, right? And I watched that fourth quarter, man. No, some of y'all didn't see it. I know that. But I watched Tom Brady out there in that last minute, 2 minutes, whatever it was. That man, I looked at him because they kept putting the camera in his face, right? That man was like, yo, listen, y'all, some of you don't like him. That's okay. That man was like, yo, I got this. Long as these cats catch the ball, I got this, right? It's like no panic whatsoever. See, and when I looked at that, I'm looking at it through the lens of a leader. I'm not looking at it as a sports fan solely. I'm looking at it through the lens of, I said, that's how you lead, man. With that confidence, with that belief, with that self-efficacy. That man was standing tall and erect, man. Yo, we got, ain't no panic in his face. Like, yo, we got this, man. Because I'm going to have the ball where it needs to be. They just got to catch it. But it's going to be where it needs to be. See, that's you, right? So are you able to go in there with that confidence, knowing, yo, I'm the right one? There's not another soul on the planet that could take these youngsters to a level that I cannot. You have to believe that about yourself. It doesn't mean that that's the reality, that you're the best principal on the planet, but we don't care about that. That's not relevant. What's relevant is in your mind's eye, yo, I got this. And you got the evidence to back it up. That's what's relevant. That you got, that look, I'm here. Principal so-and-so is in this place, in this space. I got this. Are you able to walk into your building every day with that level of confidence? I got this. And if in those areas we talked about last week, your areas of deficiency, your areas of flaw. Okay, fine. Well, in those areas, do you have this? That's all I'm saying. In those areas, in other words, are you building yourself in those areas? Are you working on yourself in those areas that you become better and you become better in those areas? Or are you just going, oh, well, I'm just not good at this? See, that's not good enough. Then you're not that one I talked about the other night throwing them passes. So my question is, number 4, is my school a better school because I lead it? That's the question. Is my school a better school because I lead it? That's the question to ask yourself every day. As a matter of fact, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do it. You know, I wrote the book of that title. So add that to your library. Is my school a better school because I lead it? Somebody said, I knew he was going to pull that book out. Yeah, you know I got to do that. So listen, let's go to the next one. Number 5. You've got to lead that school as if your students' lives are dependent upon your leadership effectiveness, ... because they are. I told you, man, I spent some time with these statements. You know, I didn't just, these are not just random, let me fill up the page. I have something to talk about on Saturday. I spent some time revising and editing and deleting and all that. And I came up, I said, I need something powerful to say to these young educators out here. And here it is. Again, you've got to lead that school as if your students' lives, you hear me? Their lives are dependent upon your leadership, ... because they are. Your students' lives are dependent upon your leadership. I need you to couch it that way. I need you to speak it that way, right? Your students' lives are dependent upon your leadership. See? So now that's not professional anymore. That's personal. See, the professional is good. But see, I'm saying to you, that's personal right there. That's personal. So my question then, will your students be able to look back on you as adults and conclude that your leadership positively altered their trajectory? Woo! See, I'm asking you the question. So when they look back on you later on in life, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, will they look back on you and say, man, I'm that success story because I was in that school, because principal so-and-so was my principal, because AP so-and-so was my assistant principal? Is it personal? See? So is it something, again, you got to lead that school as if your students' lives are dependent upon your leadership, because they are. Let me keep it moving here. I got so much to say here. I may have been overzealous when I wrote this, but let's go. I'm on number 6. Your professional growth and development must be constant, consistent, and deliberate. Oh man. Woo. I keep saying whoo after these because they I don't usually do that because these things are powerful, and I wrote them and I'm saying that, right? So let me read that one again. Your professional growth and development must be constant, consistent, and deliberate. Huh. Yeah. So that means you got to be in the books. You got to be at the academy. You got to be on the podcast. Man, what a beautiful thing called the internet. You got to be on the podcast. You got to be on the live streams. You know, there's another one I haven't been talking about on here, but there's another one I watch on Sunday nights right after I watch Josh, and it's called Eight Black Hands. That's Sharif El Mekki. A lot of people know that name out of Philly, and three other young men. And they have a powerful discussion. It's not a PD-oriented presentation, but it's just a powerful discussion that feeds into your professional learning. So 8 Black Hands every Sunday night at 9 p.m., right? So I'm saying that to say this. So there, you got podcasts, you got live streams. It's just so much. There's no excuses anymore. Back in the old days, maybe there were excuses. Oh, there's no money in the budget to send us out. And we don't have money for books, whatever it was. But now, man, everything is at the click of a finger, right? It's right there. So again, your professional growth and development must be constant, consistent, and deliberate. So my question is, what is the evidence that my professional growth and development is intentional and ongoing? Let me ask you that again. What is the evidence that my professional growth and development is intentional and ongoing? See, and I always, I'm always blessed when folks say, well, I'm checking you out, Kafele. Okay, good. I appreciate that. But don't stop at me. It's so much out there. It's so much out there. Again, our collaborative with Principal Sean, her Principal Sheikah, she's beyond principal, not beyond, but she moved in another position. Dr. Sheikah Houston, Principal Tammy Taylor, Josh Tovar and his crew. I mean, man, it's between the four of us, it's a lot there. But then there's so much more. So much more. You just got to jump on it. You just got to jump on it. So let me go to the next one. I got so much, man. They get a little bit more intense as I go on. So here we go. Number 7. You've got to see the victory before you take the first step daily. Now this one speaks to everything I said about the example I used of folks becoming discouraged, right? Right. But, those folks that become discouraged, well, maybe they don't see the victory anymore. Maybe their circumstance has undermined them, right? Maybe their circumstance has sabotaged their ability to see way in front of them, to see the victory, to have the vision. See, you got to see that. Those of you in principalships, and you're going to be doing this for a long time, you got to see the victory of the unborn. And I mean that. You got to see the victory of the unborn. So that youngster who's not even born yet, but is going to wind up in your school. You got to see that youngster's victory now. That's having vision. Because you have a 5-year plan. You have a 10-year plan. You have a 15-year plan. Because in your mind, I'm going to be here for a while. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stick around. So therefore, you see it. Marcus Jackson always got a way with words, man. Always has a way with words. I'm like, every time he comes up with something, I'm like, how's he coming up with this stuff? And why didn't I think of it? Right. So he said, become a road scholar, but notice how he spelled the word road. Listen and grow every time you're in the car. Hey, Doc, how you coming up with this stuff, man? So be that road scholar, right? So again, you've got to see the victory before you take the first step. So the question again, what is my vision for what my school can become as a result of my leadership? Let me get that to you again. What is my vision for what my school can become as a result of my leadership. See, I'm talking about because you're there. Because you're there. Carlos Baggett said Dr. Jackson took from him. Right? So as a result of your leadership, that matters, right? That matters. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Jackson's Market said that's what I'm doing now. Riding, listening, and grow. I appreciate you too. So let's keep it moving. I'm on number I think I'm on number 8 now. So let's get that banner back up here. And here we go. Y'all stay with me today. I'm going overtime. I'm telling you in advance, I'm going over today. Number 8, there's got to be something bigger than yourself. Look, listen here before I finish this sentence. I told y'all I was in deep today, over the week, just thinking, like, what can I say that's impactful? Not just some generic stuff that's impactful for that new leader, that aspiring leader, and even that veteran leader. And number 8 says, therefore, there's got to be something bigger than yourself that you are fixated on accomplishing as a or the leader at my school. So as a leader, meaning you're the AP, or as the leader, meaning you're the principal. There's got to be something bigger than yourself that you are fixated on accomplishing as the leader or as a leader of your school. I mean, that's heavy right there. You know, it's before I even go to the question, I'm just going to ask you, is there something that's bigger than you, right? That you said, look, here's the work. So I'm going to do the work. But this thing right here, when you narrow your hands and you said, but this thing right here, I will not rest. I will not sleep. I will not stop until this is accomplished, because this matters to me. This is major to me. This defines me. It defines my leadership. What's that thing? Like you fixated on it. It's almost like you don't even know what's happening over here. You don't know what's happening over here. You're not keeping up with that because you're so fixated on this thing. What might that be? See, so to read it one more time, there's got to be something bigger than you that you are fixated on toward accomplishing as the leader or as a leader in your school. So my question for you then with that statement, what is my mission as the leader of my school or as one of the leaders at my school? What's my mission? See, because that mission might be the answer to that thing that you're fixated on. So what's that thing that you're fixated on? And you said, man, I can't even focus because I'm so locked into this thing. Here, locked. I'm so locked into this. Mine was that young men's empowerment, y'all. I've told you that a million times. That was my fixation. That was my obsession. I was, again, locked in. This bad boy is locked. I don't know the combination to this lock. This used to be my gym locker, but then we had the pandemic and I forgot my combination and I don't have it documented. So it's permanently locked. But that's good for the symbolism because I was locked in. There was no unlocking. I was locked in. Y'all hear me? So what is that thing you're fixated on? Maybe you got to spend that quiet time and you got to figure that out. Maybe there's someone out there and you're not locked in. Maybe you need to buy one of these and throw out the combination and remind yourself every day that I got to be locked in, right? Locked into the work, but that thing you said you're fixated on, locked into that too. That whatever that thing you're fixated on, that might be the game changer for your school, right? Let's keep moving, y'all. I'm trying to speed up a little bit. I'm on number 9, right? Number 9. It says you can never, ever lose sight of your purpose for leading. I don't even need to spend time on that one because we talk about the why all the time, but you can never, ever lose sight of your purpose for leading. And the question is simply, what is my why? Right? I'm not even going to go any further with that because we spend a lot of time on the why and we're going to continue to spend a lot of time on the why. So since I have an overzealous agenda today, I'm going to go on to number 10. Number 10 said, your leadership must manifest even when you are absent from the building. Your leadership must manifest even when you are absent from the building. That's a big one, y'all. That's a big one. Like, can you leave the building and your school is still functioning? And not only functioning, but functioning at a high level. Can you leave the school and your school, because your leadership manifests throughout the building? You walk into the classrooms and your leadership is evident throughout the journey of the school. There's your thumbprint in room 101. There's your thumbprint in room 110. There's your thumbprint in room 115. And we keep going on. And your thumbprint is evident. It's obvious that this school is being led. So again, you can never lose. I'm sorry, your leadership must manifest even when you are absent from the building, right? I'm gonna keep going, y'all. Did I read the question? Yeah, I did. What is the evidence that of my leadership when I am not present? So number 11, we getting there, folks. We getting there. Be prepared. Oh man, this is a big one, y'all. Be prepared for the reality that your fire will be doused from time to time. Be prepared. You know, like, you hear me every Saturday morning. I'm on fire. But you know something? There are times when I'm not on fire. There are times when that fire can be doused. There are times when that fire can be extinguished. There are times that I got to reignite. You know, I think about the flood in the basement, right? It put out the hot water heater, right? And the first flood, because it was two weeks before the hurricane, there was another flash flooding. So put it out. And I'm trying to restart it, not knowing that once the thing dried, it'll probably reignite. So I call up a service man. He charges me $300, right? So I'm like, okay, we good. But then the next storm, I said, let me not call someone right away. Let me wait. And I waited a few hours. And then I went and started to reignite it with the ignition button. Man, that bad boy started right away. So in other words, I got taken for $300 because I didn't know better. But I was able to figure out once the hot water heater went through its time of not being ignited, and now the right time came to reignite it. Sometime when our fire is extinguished, or we're doused with water, okay, maybe there's a period that we need to just process that before we just try to turn that fire back up. So now process what happened. How did it happen? Why did it happen? When did it happen? Okay, I got all that now. Maybe you took some notes, journaled it and everything. Now let me reignite. Boom, you ready to go. See? So I'm saying here, be prepared for the reality that your fire will be doused. Yeah, it's going to happen. There's going to be time. It will be doused from time to time. It could be situations. It could be circumstances. It could be people. People like who? People like your supervisor. People like the parents. People like members of the community. People like the students. People like whomever. All right, fine. So you got knocked down for a minute. So your fire's not blazing for a minute. But we're not going to wallow in it too long. We just going to kind of spend some time figuring out what happened. And as we figure out what happened, now we know what we got to do to reignite. So my question to that is, how will I reignite my fire if and or when it is extinguished? And that's an ongoing question, because there are always opportunities to extinguish your fire. That's just real world. That's just real life. So I don't care how super you may think you are. There are times when we're not as mighty as we always are, right? So always bear that in mind. So let's go to number 12. And did I put it up yet? No, let's go. Number 12, just because you got there doesn't necessarily mean you should be there. Huh. I used that many weeks ago, but in a different context. Let me share that with you again. Just because you got there doesn't necessarily mean you should be there. Let that one marinate for a moment. What am I saying? You know, let me read the question just to kind of highlight it. In my current capacity of leadership, Does my presence in the building truly matter? Now, let me tell you what I'm saying with that one. Some of us get these leadership positions, but it doesn't make an impact. It doesn't make a difference. We're just there. We got hired. Your leadership has to be a life changer. Your leadership has to be a game changer. Your leadership has to matter. Your leadership has to have substance to it. Your leadership has to be impactful for an entire learning community. So in the statement, I'm saying just because you got there, okay, you got hired, doesn't necessarily mean you should be there. That means, okay, you got the job, you're in, now you got to make a difference. And that's why I put so much emphasis on it being personal. This got to be personal, because it's not just you showing up. It's not just you being there. But now that you're there, what are the implications for student growth, for staff growth, for parental engagement, for community support? Does it even matter? Right? So just because you got there doesn't necessarily mean you should be there. You got to make sure that it matters, that you're there. That's what's being said. It's got to matter that you're there. So again, the question was, in my current capacity of leadership, does my presence in my building truly matter? Right? You know the answer to that. And you got to be able to answer that question on a regular basis. We're going to keep it moving, y'all. Number 13, all students deserve and require an equitable opportunity to learn and to be great. Once again, all students deserve and require an equitable opportunity to learn and to be great. Now, that's the equity discussion. We talk about that a lot. I don't need to spend a lot of time on this. I just want to put that statement out there. The question is, does my leadership level the playing field for each of my students? Once again, does my leadership level the playing field for each of my students? We're talking equity on that one. And I'm saying to you, as you reflect on your leadership, as you reflect upon your leadership, can you, at the end of the day, can you look into your mirror and conclude that my youngsters are receiving equitable opportunities in my school? Can you make that conclusion? Can you draw that conclusion? Can you reach that conclusion? Or do you need to re-examine your leadership toward ensuring that equitable, not equal, but equitable opportunities to be successful, to be great, abound under your leadership? Let's keep moving. Number 14. I'm almost there, y'all. Hang with me. Students must, this is a big one. Students must have home field advantage when they are in your school. What do I mean, home field advantage? You know, in the sports world, when you're the home team, there's certain advantages that come to that in terms of the crowd. Some people might say the referees' calls, but certainly the fans cheering for you. Because when you're not home, you got the people booing at you. You don't have a crowd that's cheering for you unless some of your fans travel, but they're gonna be lost in that ocean of the home field, the home crowd. So using that analogy, when the students are in your school, do they have home field advantage, home court advantage, home ice advantage? And then my question is, using that same analogy, am I fanatical about my students' success? Once again, am I fanatical about my students' success, right? So you got to be a cheerleader for your students. You got to be a coach for your staff and students. They got to be able to walk into your school and they are at an advantage. Remember that question I pose all the time? Are my students at an advantage because I am their teacher? Are my students at an advantage because I am their leader? Is there something advantageous about students being in your school over being in other places? Is it home field, home court advantage because I'm with you in your building? Ponder over that. Let that ruminate, right? The youngsters have to be at an advantage because they're in your space, because they're in your place, because they're in your school. Let's keep it moving. I'm almost done. I'm on number 15. Here's another big one. Everyone on your staff isn't going to love you. Y'all weren't expecting that one. As a matter of fact, let me put it on the screen. Everyone on your staff isn't going to love you. If you got into this profession, hit that share button. We're at the last. I'm in the final stretch. Hit that share and retweet for me, somebody. Listen, if you one of them people, because some people need to be loved. Some people need everybody to love them. And if you one of them, you in the wrong business. I don't care who you are. There's always somebody on that staff that's not walking lockstep with you. So if you need to be loved and liked and appreciated by your staff, I mean, it's an ideal situation to be in. But if that's your need, then you may want to reevaluate you, because everyone on your staff is not going to love you, even though you think you're doing all the right things. So my question is, how will I lead a staff where there are individuals on my staff who are not in agreement or alignment with what I stand for? I never had a staff where everybody loved Principal Kafele, but I'm good with that, because at the end of the day, we got a job to do. You don't have to love me. You just got to be a part of this team, and that way we could still function together. You don't have to love me. Just be a part of this mission, though. Just be a part of this vision, though. See, when you start deviating from that, that's when we got problems. You could hate me, but just walk with me in this mission. Just walk with me in this vision, and then you can talk about me like a dog in the parking lot. That's all good, but just walk with me. See, I've walked with people that I didn't like. I'll walk with you, but that don't mean I'm gonna love you. See, so just understand that everyone's not gonna love you, and that's okay. Everyone's not gonna like you, and that's okay. But the question again, how will I lead my staff where there are individuals on my staff who are not in agreement or alignment with what I stand for, right? And see, again, those could be conversations, right? You're not to convince them to like you, but just to ensure that we are still, we got common goals. We got common mission. We got common vision. See, you think about pro football. I've heard it a million times in terms of pro football locker rooms. There are people on those teams, winning teams, that can't stand one another. And a lot of times it becomes apparent during training camp, during the summer, when you hear about all these fights that these NFL teams have. I mean, they go at it hard. They don't do it during the season, but that's like the time. Let me get at this cat that I really don't like, right? So they fight. Sometimes it doesn't make the media unless somebody got a camera present. But so like staffs in school, I mean, we y'all ain't gonna fight. But staffs in school, they really don't like one another, or don't like, but that's not even my point here. I'm talking about the staff and student and leadership. So staff members that don't like you for whatever the reason. Okay, fine. They may not like you, but as long as you got them walking with you, that's what matters. Let me go to number 16. Consistent with number 15. Let me put it up here. Everyone on your staff isn't going to agree with your decisions. So they go hand in glove. Everyone's not going to agree with your decisions. So I got a two-part question. Can I lead effectively knowing that my decisions are not popular with my entire staff? And number two, can I handle this reality? Right? So everyone's not going to agree with the decisions you make. But you can't be one that's going to survey staff before you make a decision. If you don't have the courage, the audacity to make decisions without getting agreement from the staff first, then this is not for you. I'm going to tell you straight up, this is not for you. I made many, many decisions, because leadership, as you know, is a decision-making position. You're making decisions all day long. You can get, if nothing else, you can guarantee every day you will be making decisions today, right? You will be making decisions on young people's lives today. You can guarantee, if nothing else, if you know nothing else about what your day is going to be, the one thing you can guarantee, you will be making decisions. They could be minor, they could be major, they could be matter of fact, but you will be making decisions. So now the question is, are you going to survey the staff? Hey, staff, what do you think about this move I'm getting ready to make? Hey, staff, I mean, There are times when, yes, the staff, you want them to be a part of that decision making, but I'm not talking about your daily decision making. You know, that big program you bring into school, yeah, you may want to interact with your staff and collaborate with your staff and come up with some kind of consensus on what it is that you guys may want to do. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your day-to-day decisions that are going to impact staff, but you don't have the time to survey staff. That's what I'm talking about. Well, here I'm saying that's okay, right? But you cannot be one that needs to have the approval of staff before you make decisions. Because if you're that person, leadership is not for you. You don't have the time. You don't have the capacity. You don't even have the energy to go to staff to get their approval or their input on your decisions. Leaders lead, and a part of leadership is making decisions that may be unpopular, right? They may be unpopular, but we make those decisions regardless, and then we stand on the decisions that we made. Got another one of my former students in the building. Good to see you, sir. And then we stand on the decisions that we make. And when we make mistakes, we own up to them. I made a mistake. It's all good. And then we move on. Let me keep going. Number 17, I think I'm on. Yeah. I'm so hot in here. My glasses are foggy. There will be days when you question your decision to lead. I talked about that one before, so I don't need to get heavy, but I want to throw the questions at you. Is my commitment to this work as strong on bad days as it is on good days? Let me read that again. Is my commitment to this work as strong on bad days as it is on good days? And is my commitment to this work as strong during challenging times as it is when things are going well? See, that's a measure of your commitment, this question. Because see, if your commitment is not strong on the bad days, then you gotta question yourself. Those challenging days, those days when the superintendent like ripped you for something, right? Those days when the parent ripped you for something, those days when you had a clash with a staff member or a community person, maybe the local pastor came in and said some things that got under your skin to you. That's what I'm talking about now. There will be those days when you said, I don't have to deal with this. I don't have to take this crap. Those days I'm talking about. You got to find that quiet space somewhere, right? Sit in that space. Okay, man, they came at me hard today. How do I rise above that? See, so you got to think that one through. You got to process that one. And how do I come out victoriously, regardless of the fact that this was my reality, right? Let's keep moving. I'm almost done. Number 18, I'm going to 20. Let me bring it up here. You're not always going to be thanked or even appreciated for the great things that you do. See, again, I had the rookie in mind when I wrote these. I had that new principal in mind, or that first few years principal in mind. I had that assistant principal in mind. I had that aspiring principal in mind to let you know, just because you go the extra mile, just because you work 14, 15, 16 hours a day, just because you work so hard, you only sleep 4 and 5 hours a night, right? Just because you are just going above and beyond, there still may not be people to thank you. I'm going to let you know that now. If you didn't know, Biggie said, now you know, right? You could be putting in the time. And as a matter of fact, you may be reaching deep into your pockets and you spending money on your staff, spending money on your students, spending money on your parents. Maybe you couldn't raise the money quick enough for an emergency, so you just went on and bought the food, went on and bought the clothing, right? Went on and got a residence for somebody to live in temporarily, whatever. And you didn't get the thank you. You didn't get the appreciation. You didn't get the praise. And you're sitting around thinking, man, do these people know what I just did? And nobody said thanks. Like even my boss knows what I did. No email, thanks. No call, thanks. Nobody's showing appreciation. They still coming at me with this and that. Hey, leader out there, let me say this one loud. That's part of the leadership too. That's part of the reality too. But I don't think you got into leadership to be thanked. I don't think that's the reason you came into this business. Because if you came into this business so that you can receive praise and accolades and folks saying to you, great job, and all that kind of stuff, you in the wrong business, man. This is a thankless business. Your homies outside of the school might thank you. Your family might thank you, but the people you leading, they might thank you, but they might not thank you. So you can't get caught up into that. But again, to read it to you, you're not always going to be thanked or even appreciated for the great things that you do. That's okay. That's okay, right? Keep doing it, because you didn't get in here for this. You didn't get in here for praise. You didn't get in here for folks to be thanking you and all that kind of stuff. You got in here because you wanted to lead. You wanted to take young people to another level, right? That's why you do this one, right? So I'm saying to you, don't worry about it. Just keep on leading. But just realize, those of you that don't know, because there could be someone here that just didn't know. Those of you that didn't know, now you know. It's a thankless position. It's not a whole bunch of people. You got your little inner circle in your school. You got your amen corner in your school. You got people that worship every word you speak, because sometimes we got them too. They're gonna thank you, but they may be few and far between. Right? Don't let your feelings get hurt because you don't have people saying thank you. Right? You don't have people praising you. Right? Don't let that get to you. You just keep on stepping. You keep on leading. Dr. Jackson said, get out of your feelings and just keep on leading, right? That's what leaders do. And that's what leadership is. And then that time when someone says thank you, you cherish it, right? Because it matters. You cherish it, right? So I appreciate you, Principal Bradley, right? So let me go to number 19. All right, here go a big one. It's going to catch you off guard. All of the parents aren't going to love you either. Somebody said, I know. Somebody said, I experienced that one yesterday. All of the parents aren't going to love you either. See, we want them to, right? But again, and see, real talk, as they say, you might be doing everything right for that child, by that child. But that parent is in a different space. You understand that? I'm not going to disrespect the parent. That parent's in a different space. That parent sees the world through a different lens. That parent doesn't see the world through the lens you see that parent. So therefore, although you're doing right by that child, that parent doesn't see it that way. And now that parent is on your case. Said differently, that parent is in your butt. And you don't understand why. And you frustrated. In fact, that parent may have called the superintendent on you. And you did right by that child. Even if it was a punishment, a consequence, maybe that consequence was really deserved, but you went light on the child, let the child save face, etc. But now the parent didn't want you to go, they didn't want you to go light. They didn't want you to touch the child, like meaning do anything. But now you had to impose something, because something egregious happened. Some violation of your expectation happened, right? So now it goes back to number 19. All of the parents aren't going to love you either. So now we're in the age of social media. So now that parent is so ticked off about you that the parent went to Facebook and trashed you on social media. And now the other parents who have nothing to do with the situation, I know I'm preaching to somebody. I know somebody out there hears me, because you experienced this. So now the parent went to social media, and now the parents that got nothing to do with this are chiming in on it. And now you got a whole little cluster of parents who are upset with you, and they don't even know what's going on. Have no idea. So I guess maybe for another time we can have a discussion on how to alleviate oneself from that situation. I'm not going to spend that time doing that now, because it's 12:15, right? But I will say this. Number 19, all of the parents aren't going to love you either. And that one parent who could be an opinion leader might get more parents on his or her side that don't like you, right? So that's that's just part of what we deal with. That's just part of what we deal with. But I'm saying it to say to my aspiring leaders out there, my new leaders out there, my assistant principals out there, or even the veterans out there, that all parents aren't going to love you either. Embrace it. However, be proactive in positioning yourselves with the parents so that you increase the probability that the parents are rocking with you, regardless of the decisions that you make. Like Josh said, sometimes it just takes the one parent that now you got an army of parents against you, and they don't even know why. It's that one parent situation. It's not even their situation, but because that parent is an opinion leader, you got folks that rallied around that parent, right? So just keep that in mind. I'm on the last one. Let me get it up here, y'all. Let me get it up here. Those of you that stuck around, I appreciate you. I went long today. I wanted to get them all in. I didn't want to carry over into another week. Number 20, big one. Oh, I didn't read the question in number 19. What is the evidence that I am intentional about building meaningful and lasting relationships and alliances with parents? So I kind of summed it up that way, but I didn't use a question. Let me give it to you again. What is the evidence that I am intentional about building meaningful and lasting relationships and alliances with parents? The key word is evidence. So I'm asking you, in what way are you being proactive? In what way are you being deliberate and intentional and purposeful about forging those relationships with parents, so that when that one situation arises, you don't have an army of parents who are now against you because one parent is upset with you? What is it that you have done to forge those alliances? I'm going beyond relationship. I'm saying alliances. What have you done to forge those alliances with parents, that those parents have absolute faith in your leadership, have absolute confidence in your leadership as it relates to each of their respective children? That matters. Number 20, I'm on the last one. Despite all the challenges in our world today, your bottom line, do I have it up there? Yeah. Your bottom line must be student achievement, with school culture being the vehicle to get there. Oh man, y'all ain't hear that. It's late. Y'all been on with me for an hour and some change. Y'all didn't hear that. Let me get that to you again. Despite all the challenges in our world today, your bottom line must be student achievement. Said differently, student learning, with school culture being the vehicle to get there. In other words, how do students learn optimally within a toxic school learning environment? How do students learn optimally within a learning environment that is less than optimal? That culture of the school is what enables teacher to teach at a high level. Yes, teacher has to have a skill set, but I can have a skill set within a toxic culture. And as I've heard Dr. Anthony Muhammad say, who will be a guest with us in December, school culture eats strategies for breakfast. Culture eats strategies for breakfast. So culture matters. So you got to make sure that despite all of the challenges in our world today, that your bottom line must be student achievement, with school culture being the vehicle to get there. So my question, how will I ensure that student achievement is always my number one priority? And is it evident that school culture is a priority within my leadership? Let me read them both one more time to you. How will I ensure that student achievement, let me highlight that. How will I ensure that student achievement is always my number one priority? And is it evident that school culture is a priority within my leadership, right? So I appreciate you guys for hanging with me for this long. I've been trying not to go this long, but let me just say before you go, hang on with me. Let me tell you about next week, man. We got a big one next week, man, and it's going to have a literacy thrust. As a matter of fact, let me get my note right here. Dr. Houston and Principal Taylor have this real framework: respect, excellence, accountability, literacy, and leadership. And we're going to take a deep dive into this framework that they've put together. They talk about it regularly on their broadcast, but they're going to be my guests next week, Dr. Sheikah Houston and Principal Tammy Taylor. So we're going to go deep. We're going to go hard on their real framework because it's powerful stuff. And keep in mind, for the new heads on here today, just want to say this. This broadcast is not meant to be an issues-related broadcast, because there's some education broadcasts that are kind of issues-related. Like I was talking to you about my guys, 8 Black Hands. I want you to check them tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. We're not issues-related. We're PD-related. We're professional learning related. And if there's a place for issues, and obviously, because it's particularly when we're dealing with those social issues, then yeah, we infuse those, we incorporate that. But for the most part, we're all about leadership and preparing folks to be effective in leadership. I appreciate all them thanks I see on there. Appreciate you guys. I see you. And I'm gonna read. I read everything. I'm gonna watch the U.S. Open at 4, and the what you call that the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame at 6. So between the time I check off and 4, I'll be reading all the comments on all 4 of the platforms. Right. I'm looking forward to that women's U.S. Open, by the way. Them 2 young ladies, 18 and 19, Layla Fernandez, that's the one I'm rooting for. So, but before that, I'll be reading all these comments, right? So we'll see Dr. Houston and Principal Taylor next week. Make sure, hey, y'all, one more time. If you don't have this yet, it's almost a bestseller. It's almost there, right? Just need a few more purchases. So the Equity and Social Justice Education 50, and then these are the 2 books that kind of support this work. If you've missed any of the broadcasts, just go to a virtual AP Leadership Academy on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, and then all 72 are there. So just go there and binge watch, right? Like and follow my Facebook page, Virtual AP Leadership Academy. I write a commentary every Sunday that's an extension of this broadcast. I don't want you to miss those. So if you've been missing them, you haven't been going on the page, go back and keep scrolling. I don't put a lot of other content on there, so you don't have to scroll too far, and you'll see them. Yeah, I don't use that as a regular Facebook page. That is strictly for Virtual AP Leadership Academy. So go there, scroll, and look at all them commentaries I've written. Man, I've written about, since I've started this broadcast, I must have written at least 50 commentaries. I got a whole lot of them. So go back and read those. That's the purpose of that page. I'm just trying to help folks get better. That Sean Hurts just trying to help folks get better. Sheikah Houston, Tammy Taylor just trying to help folks get better. Josh Tovar and the crew just trying to help folks get better at leadership. All of these are leadership, right? So just when we put that information out there, take advantage of it. So go to that Facebook page, Virtual AP Leadership Academy, and scroll back and read all them commentaries I've been writing for the past year, right? And then other than that, folks, the diet, take care of yourselves, and the exercise. I did 3 miles before I came on today. Maybe that's why I'm so hyped, right? I did 3 miles. It's real hot outside. It's hot, it's sunny, but I did them 3 miles. So I'm good. I got it in me. So make sure you're taking care of yourself, eating right, engaging in the health and fitness routine, drinking that water, doing all the right things, rocking that mask. You don't like the mask, get one of them ones with a design on it or something, or your school name, or the one where you got a photograph of the bottom of your face so it looks like you don't have a mask on. Whatever you got to do, but wear the mask, because this thing is too much. I'm not going to preach that mask sermon like I did last week. I know I went overboard last week, but I'm just reminding you. Right. So other than that, folks, I appreciate you being here. I'm excited about next week. So I'll see you next week. Tell a friend, tell a colleague that if they're missing us, they need to get with us and be with us every week. I'm doing this thing indefinitely. We're going into week 73 next week. So you guys have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back all the way. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! Have a strong week of leadership next week. And I'll see you Saturday to sum it all up.